afternoon, everybody. Silverbolt here, back for a Transformers review. You don't really need an intro screen to know what it is I'm going to be reviewing today. Today is June the 19th. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen has been released in the cinema, and I have seen it. Twice. Now then, one thing I'm going to say before this video really begins is this will contain spoilers. I will be mentioning things that happen in the film, so if you do not want to know, click the X in the top of your button and walk away from the PC. Or the laptop. Oh hell, even your mobile phone. I do want a mobile phone that can play videos. Anyway, I'm just stuck with the Samsung Sol. Right, anyway, random prevarication. No, prevarication, yeah. Can I help you? This is her being cute. Can I help you? Anyway, yes, I have seen the film. I saw it yesterday morning, first showing of the day. And what I didn't realise was that one of my bosses was actually in there as well, which I thought was very strange. And Dog, you are very heavy because you are lying at a very awkward angle. Anyway, I saw the 11 o'clock showing, and then I caught a later showing with Philly. So, have seen it twice. As I said anyway, this film, this video will contain spoilers. I am not going to go through a play-by-play of the entire film. Namely because Dave, Andy, Phil and Chris are probably going to do that, and they'll probably do it better than I will, so I am going to be going through the characters that show up and what I thought of them. And as I said, this will contain spoilers, so without further ado, let us begin, as they say. Okay, we'll start with the obvious one. Optimus Prime, played by Peter Cullen again. Lucky Peter. Oh my god. Whoa. I mean, when that happened, I was like, I nearly dropped my popcorn, seriously. Oh, I ate so much popcorn yesterday. I think I'm totally out of my popcorn desires for the next month. Oh my, I'm into that. I'm sad for 3 big boxes. I sat there. Oh, but yes, Optimus Prime. Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to stop doing that now because I sound like Janice from Friends. But wow. I have to say, I am going to break total internet rules. I am going to become a heretic and a blasphemer, and I'm going to say that live action movie would dick on Chuck Norris. There you go. I've said it. Chuck? You there? No. Anyway, yes, the guy is awesome. I mean, when he's taking on Starscream, Megatron and Grindor, and then he just goes dual wield action, and it's like, whoa. I mean, when we first see Prime, he's he jumps out of a plane in robot mode, transforms, parachutes down, and then just dive bombs this mammoth Decepticon, shoots it a few times, and then just pops it in the head. You know, he's just like, yeah, which of course gives rise to the Fallen. Prime was uber. I mean, when Megatron's sword thing went through his chest, and then he fired his gun, and it was like, oh shit! I couldn't believe when Prime died. Oh my god! Because I have to say that was the biggest shock of the film. Because Prime dying's not exactly like, it's not exactly a one-off occurrence. It's what Prime does. If Prime couldn't die in one reincarnation of another, then he's not going to be Happy Bunny. But to die, an hour into the film, I really wasn't expecting it. I mean, I would admit, part of me was expecting Prime to die in the film. I could see it happening at the end of the second film, and then the third film was about and then bringing him back to life. But for it to actually happen in that part of the film, well, whoa. Optimus Prime is uber He is fantastic. He has some of the best. The action sequences that they put in for Prime are much better. I mean, in the first film, you could always argue, well, Prime didn't do that much damage in the first film to Megatron because he was holding back so as not to hurt the humans. No, that's actually believable now. If you see when you see the way Prime goes on, that is now actually believable. Okay, Bumblebee, the other Bumblebee, who is back to not talking, which I think is quite good because Bumblebee's voice has never held with me his real voice in the live-action movie, despite the fact he has 2 lines. But again, he doesn't speak, he's back to talking through the radio. It's a quite comical effect. It's a very comical effect. Again, and he is a kick-ass character himself, despite the fact that him and Say have a gay best friends relationship. They really do, because when Sam sails round and says, I'm going off to college and you're not coming with me, it really is like he's breaking up with him. He's like, I love you, babe, but I'm not taking you with me. I need to be normal. It's like, and then Bumblebee starts crying, and it's like, you can't do that, you're breaking up with him. It really was a gay best friends moment. It was quite amusing. It's not supposed. Well, it's one of those things that's supposed to be heart-wrenching, but because it's like a human being and a giant alien robot, you can't really take too seriously. So you know, Bumblebee's over the top crying. It was very amusing. It was quite funny. Needless to say, Bumblebee and Sam are not separated for very long. The other Autobots in the film would be Ironhide, who voiced by James Harnell, doesn't really do a lot. Really doesn't. Seems to spend most of his time driving human soldiers around, because of course the humans under Major Lennox have formed an alliance with the Autobots called Nest, and they basically hunt Decepticons. And they're actually quite a good duo together, and you know they have become really good friends, a really close-knit unit, both the Autobots and the Decepticons. Ironhide, once Prime dies, seems to take control. Which I suppose, if you choking, you know, it would make sense. Now that Jazz is dead. There are new Autobots in there. Jolt, who is voiced by Anthony Anderson, though I can honestly say I don't remember him speaking. Anthony Anderson, of course, was, well, the hacker from the first film. Glenn, I think his name was. Obviously, who is not in the second film. None of the intelligence people are in the second film. So Maggie's not in there either. Jolt, I have got to say, was probably the most useless freaking Autobot there, because I don't actually think I saw him do anything. You know, you see him in car mode. I mean, I can recollect seeing him properly 3 times. You see him in car mode, driving down. You see him in robot mode when the American government turns against the Autobots. Well, the one dude who gets his comeuppance turns against the Autobots. You see him there, and then he comes along at the end to pull Jetfire and Prime together so they can power links. And that's about it. And it's like, well, you're bloody useless. There we go. Ratchet, very much a backseat job. Doesn't really do a lot, but shoot. Really doesn't do a lot. Sideswipe. Sideswipe definitely seems to be Jazz's replacement. And he is so cool for the whole 15 seconds of screen time he gets, which was a bit annoying because Sideswipe was really good. He was fun, and the way he kills sideways was really good. The twins, Skids and Mudflap. Now, they are... I was very dubious about them, and when I found out they transformed into an ice cream truck, I was even more dubious about them. But I quite like them. I will admit, I will hold my hands up and I will quite like them. What I did find really amusing was that there was the way that Skids and Mudflap talk, which is gangster. There was actually 3 kids behind me talking gangster in the cinema, which I thought was really quite amusing. Well done, Michael Bay, for actually making them talk like idiots. Because they were quite, you know, Skids and Mudflap, I don't think they had a very country bumpkin attitude to them. And Skids looks like the troll from Harry Potter. Seriously, watch it and compare it to Skids from Harry Potter from the Troll. Skids the Troll and Harry Potter the movie Transformer. Seriously, I'm serious. They were quite funny. They were quite funky, especially their interaction with Leo. That was really funny. I'm gonna pop your punk ass bitch. Sorry, I can't speak gangster, nor would I flipping well want to. There's only two other Autobots to mention now. That's RC, and the RC twins, as Major Lennox refers to them, but there's one little problem with that. Now, as far as I can recollect, and as far as I remember, twins means two. The RC twins, there's three. You've got RC, who's the pink one, and voiced by Susan Blue, incidentally. You've got Chromia, who's the blue one. And then you've got Random Purple Motorcycle Bird, whoever the hell she is. And there's three of them. They seem to be the rapid response unit. They're jumping around very quickly. They look very, very weird. Their toys look weirder. Because they don't actually have legs. They've just got these, like, wheels underneath, and it's very strange. Then saying that, so does Sideswipe, but Sideswipe makes it look good. Then we have Wheelie. Like most people, when I first heard that Wheelie was going to be in the new movie, I went, oh shit. But no, he's fun. He's really fun, and he's funny. Oh, he is so funny. He does become an Autobot at the end. When he's humping Michaela's leg, that was quite amusing. Why a 1-foot robot humping Michaela's leg is funny. I guess you just need to have my sense of humour, which is quite sick at times. I did like Wheelie. I thought that his character was very rat trap-ish, but his character was very rat trap-ish, and yes, he was kind of useless apart from the fact he led them to the Seekers. But he was fun. He was fun. And Philly wants his toy, and him. All the Transformers she could pick, she picks Wheelie. Ugh. She could have at least picked. Well, she did like. She could have at least picked Sideswipe. At least then I got a cool car out of it. I've got notes because I've been making notes, and this is video running on far too long. Right, onto the Decepticons. Megatron is back, and he's uber badass again. However, my gripe with him is that you find out that Megatron's not actually working for himself. You know, he's actually working for this guy called the Fallen, who is a Fallen Prime, which I will get to. And Megatron has a Darth Vader Palpatine moment with Fallen, and you could practically hear the Stormtroopers theme tune going on in the background. You know, it so was, because the Fallen actually calls Megatron my apprentice, and Megatron actually refers to the Fallen as my master, including down on one knee, you know, the Darth Vader pose, which I thought was very random and not very good. In all fairness, Megatron bow his knee to anybody. Megatron kills Prime, as is only proper. Stabs him through the chest and shoots him. In a truly cataclysmic battle scene. Megatron is actually quite sadistic in this film. When he starts telling Sam how he'd like to strip all the flesh from him and I'm going to kill you slowly, you know. Megatron actually is really sadistic in this film. His voice is a lot easier to understand. Gone is the megalomaniac rasp that he seemed to have in the first one. Voiced again, of course, by Hugo Weaving. But you know, his voice is much improved, I thought. He's still obviously a villain, but now that he actually talks instead of says the very stereotypical maniacal things, like, I'm going to keep you as my pet. What? Anyway, brings an interesting question to Prime. If it means saving our entire race, is it not worth just one human life? Interesting question if it could actually be applied. Anyway, since the humans would do it, which really shows you which really shows how well you do it, because when the whole world is looking for Sam Witwicky to turn him over to the Decepticons, Major Lennox turns around to government dude and says, "You're going to give him the kid?" He goes, "All options are being considered." So Prime will sacrifice himself for one human life, and the American government will give it to him straight away, no problems asked. Gee, thanks, Mr. Obama. Who actually is the president in the film. Soundwave is in there, and it is Soundwave that allows the Decepticons to learn of Megatron's location and the location of the Allspark fragment that Prime pulled out of Megatron's chest at the end of the first movie. Excuse me, because he's tapped into all of Earth's communications. He is voiced by Frank Welker, which I thought was brilliant. I didn't actually know that Frank Welker had recorded for the film until I actually heard him speak on screen, and I was like, and it's Frank Welker doing his Krulos voice from Dino Riders. Soundwave unfortunately tends to sit up in space like that guy from R.I.D. whose name nobody remembers. You know, he just tends to just sit there, and it is rather unfortunate. It is rather unfortunate. He does have Ravage within him, and he does eject Ravage. It's almost like a rather disgusting alien ejaculation, the way he gets rid of Ravage, because he just seems to go, boom! He's like, right! The whole film has actually got some really disturbing, foul things in it. I mean, Ravage is uber cool, and he's uber sneaky, and he's fast, and he's dangerous, and he's got lots of teeth. And I really like Ravage. Ravage was so cool. He's actually one of the few movie toys I actually want. But then the way Bumblebee kills him, it's like he grabs his head and he grabs his body and he just pulls his entire spinal column out. It's like, that's foul. Cool, but foul. Okay. Right, Starscream. Starscream is back, voiced by Charlie Adler, another G1 cartoon voice. Charlie Adler, of course, did other voices, most notably, I suppose, Silverbolt. Starscream is back and he's portrayed as a coward, and he gets a lot more dialogue, and there's a lot more interaction between him and Megatron, which is very, very good. And he is completely dominated by Megatron, and Starscream is portrayed as a bit of a coward, more so than an actual traitor. Whether it will come about, the Starscream will be a betrayal, we shall see. Okay, Jetfire. The Jetfire starts off as a Decepticon, which is why he's in the Decepticon list. Jetfire starts off as a Decepticon, and rapidly changed his tune when Wheelie, using the Allspark fragment that Sam somehow found in his jacket but had never noticed for 2 years before, the Allspark sliver. Sounds like a bad breakfast cereal. And Wheelie gives him. Wheelie tells him, use your Allspark fragment, which shoots into Jetfire, reactivates him, and he becomes Victor Mildrum. Which I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting him to be this senile, butt-toothed, drooling, coughing, old fart. Luckily, however, I actually quite liked it. I know there will be a lot of people who will not like the fact that they used the name Jetfire and made him into this bumbling, senile git. But I actually really liked it. And it was Jetfire who suddenly decides, you know what, I don't want to be a Decepticon anymore, I'm going to be an Autobot. You know, all that talk of destruction, it was really getting to him. Poor Jetfire. So he does join the Autobot cause with a funky battle axe. He does have a funky battle axe. And it is Jetfire that takes care of Scorponok, who just bursts out of the ground, grabs onto Jetfire, starts tearing through him, and Jetfire just goes, BAM! Squatted like a bug. Done. No more Scorponok. So that was quite fun. Jetfire, I did like Jetfire's character. As I said, there's going to be a lot of people who won't like Jetfire's character. And the argument I say, well, tough. He's got Jetfire's name. Other than that, he's nothing. And of course he does combine with Prime, because Jetfire rips out his own spark cage because he's badly wounded and says, use my parts. It's like, that's gross. That's gross. I had the first instance of using my parts. An unnamed Constructicon, well, an unnamed Decepticon gets torn apart by the other Decepticons in order to bring Megatron back to life. But so yes, he pulls out his own spark cage, dies, and then somehow, and don't get me how, Jolt links him up with Jetfire, and Prime somehow just pulls them together, and then they just combine into Powerlinks Prime, who just goes and kicks ass even more than he did the first time around. Because of course Prime comes back to life in the film when Sam finds the Matrix of Leadership. The Constructicons and Devastator. I am beneath the robot's scrotum. What can we say about the Constructicons? Wow. I don't know what any of you think concerning Devastator, but I think he was fantastic. He was uber, and the way he combined was phenomenal. I mean, unlike in the G1 cartoon where he actually combined something of a willing procedure, it actually seemed that Devastator just ate everybody. He just seemed to eat everybody. You know, all these cables come out of him, and it just goes, and it's like, it's not like it locks neatly into play. It just seems to jam into them and pull them back into them, and wow. It was a special effects masterpiece. It was absolutely fantastic. But I have to say about the human race, it is good to see that the human race is learning from the ethics of the greater good and are embracing the greater good as the way forward. Anybody who plays Warhammer 40,000 will know exactly what I mean. I actually, when I saw that bit, I actually texted Philly and said, the greater good is at work amongst the human race. Michael Bay is bringing the greater good to to the humans, which was quite funny. It wasn't that funny, but she actually thought it quite amusing that I'd find such an obscure reference in a Transformers film. But yes, anybody who plays Warhammer 40,000 will know what I mean by that. Devastator. Uber funky, uber badass, and looks at one point like he's going to eat Mudflap, at which point my girlfriend was like, dog just perked its ears up. And Devastator comes into it, and you know what, and someone off the forums actually said that Muds and Skidflap, it was really unbelievable that Muds and Skidflap took on Devastator. Well, in all fairness, Devastator didn't really notice them. I don't even think he realised that he was sucking Mudflap in. Because let's face it, it took a bloody big gun to take Devastator down. This is after he's climbed up onto the pyramid, and he's ripping away at it to get at the sun destroying weapon. Which really reminds me of something from a Generation 1 episode of Transformers that I cannot for the life of me place. Right. So, Devastator and his testicles. Yes, Devastator has testicles. Two great big wrecking balls that, yes, they do bounce off each other. That was something we laughed at. I actually thought it was quite funny. Okay, other remaining Decepticons really are Sideways. Well, there's not much to say about him. He gets killed quickly. In 15 seconds. Definitely a throwaway monster. Scalpel, who is this psycho little sadistic thing. Which is what brings Megatron back to life. He also takes, in a scene like something that was really out of the Matrix, a little crab bug, sticks it in Stan's mouth, which then revolves or goes down his throat, up his nose, up into his brain, and starts taking little bits out, and then gets pulled back out again. It's like, ooh. It's like that bit in the Matrix where the thing goes in Neo's belly button. It's like, yes. And the last, of course, the Decepticons that are in it are the Insecticons. The Insecticons are in it, tiny little bugs that they merge into this giant, really surreal creature that has this big eyeball on the front, but then it's like card thin. Seriously, it's like that. It turns the camera, and it's like that, and it's really surreal and strange, but kind of cool. I don't think we're going to get a toy of that somehow. Imagine Hasbro releasing like, Insecticons! Here you have 3,000mm high bugs. It was quite funny. A lot of the human characters are back in it, recurring. Major Lennox is back in it, as I've already said, which I'm really pleased at, because I really, really, really like his character. And his best buddy, Left Cheek guy is back in it, because I quite liked him as well. I can't remember his name though. Sam and Michaela are in there. Michaela is back, looking as hot as ever and as acting as bad as ever. But when she's running around in shorts and a low-cut top, you don't really notice those things. And I have to say, on the Pretender was weird. But there we go. And yes, the Terminator was a very, very strange creature that was very hot, but was very gross. And the whole weird tentacle head, weirdy things was really strange. I mean, when I heard there was a Pretender in the film, I was quite dubious, to say the least. But it worked, it was pointless and had no involvement outside of the fact that it's a hot girl with a tentacle for a tongue, and it's just weird. And the fact that the tongue actually stays on the end of the tentacle. Of course, played by Isabel Lucas. So Megan actually had a bit of on-screen competition in the hotness factor. And it was quite a fun thing to do. If it was rather creepy. And it reminded me of something, but I can't really remember what it was. Hang on a second. Come here! Oh, excuse me. Yes, it might as well have had the bloody theme tune playing. Sam's parents are back in it. Very funny. Especially when Sam's mom's stoned. That was highly comical. I mean, talk about dysfunctional parents. I mean, I know my parents are open, but in all fairness, though, I can actually imagine my mother eating a weed cake and a space cake. That's what they're called, space cakes, and getting stoned and then complaining. So that is actually quite possible to happen. But anyway, yes. We have also in the movie, of course, is the title of the movie, The Fallen. And The Fallen is voiced by none other than the Candyman himself, Tony Todd, which was an excellent choice for a rather piss-poor character. Great potential as the uber badass, but he didn't really do a lot. He's in it for about 5 minutes. He's in it for about a 5 minute where he has a basically Megatron sucking up to him scene. And then he vanishes for like 3/4 of the film. Then he comes back in at the end, gets into a 2-minute scrap with Prime, and gets his face ripped off. And then dies. And it's like, well, you were rather anticlimactic, and I'm not the only person who thought this, that the ending of the film was very anticlimactic. It was like reading a Dan Abnett novel. Lots of action, crap, running out of time, quick, finish it off! If anybody who reads Dan Abnett will know exactly what I mean. And The Fallen had the potential to be a great character, but he came off as just this wimp. Only a Prime can defeat him. No, they bloody can't. If Prime could do it that easy, flipping anybody could have done it. Wheelie could have done it with his catapults. Just give me enough time. Despite the fact that he seems to be Susan Storm. Well, a much less attractive version of her. Because, you know, his powers are uber long stick, swish, and then raise from the dead. Well, not quite raise from the dead, but, you know, telekinetic powers, drop the tanks. Raise rocks, planes flying. He did feel very anticlimactic. And what was with the little chinny things that wiggled around like some kind of fish face tentacle things? It is good to know that self-sacrifice, though, runs in the nature of a Prime, because the Fallen was a Prime. Until he became a Decepticon, then his name was stricken from all eternity, and he's now only known as the Fallen. What would you do if it happened to a second? What would you call him? The Dropped? And as it turns out, Optimus is apparently a descendant of these Primes. So does it mean that the Prime title goes down in a line of succession, rather than it being a title that you get, for instance? So if it's a line of succession, and this is something Philly pointed out that I wondered about, but I have somewhat of an answer to. If the Primes go down in lines of succession, Megatron and Prime are brothers. Does that mean that Megatron's a Prime? Now my answer to that is, if it works that way, my answer is no, because they lose the title of Prime if they become a Decepticon. But there we go. Other things I want to mention about the film, the Laurentian Abyss is not the deepest place on Earth, despite the fact that it sounds much cooler than the Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench is one of the deepest places on Earth. The Laurentian Abyss is just about half as deep as the Mariana Trench. Speaking of which, if they're supposed to be 98,000 fathoms down, you're not going to find octopus crawling over Megatron's head. You might find a few insects, but you're not going to find octopus. Octopus are made of jelly. They have no bones. They go at 98,000 fathoms. Other things that I did notice in the film: the Mountain Dew. The Mountain Dew and the Mountain Dew machine. That was one hell of a freaking endorsement. It's like it's got like 3 minutes of screen time just standing there, bold as brass, next to Sam. Sam's character. I didn't mention Sam's character. Sam, Shia LaBeouf. Despite the fact that I might not like him an awful amount, there's something weird about the guy. I don't know what it is. I have to admit, he is a very, very good actor, and I think that's one thing that nobody can take away from him, is that he is an extremely good actor. He really does a good job as Sam, and I really do like him. Even with his dog, which I can't freaking stand. What happened to Wheelie? Yeah, I've got little notes here. What happened to Wheelie? He just vanished. You know, he goes to the desert with them. He makes one smart-ass comment in the car when they're going through. They're going towards the checkpoint. By the way, the tiny little security dude, the tiny little army dude, what the hell was he in? Because it's driving me mental. I cannot place him. I know him, but I can't place what he was in. And I seem to have this vision of him running around with a squeaky little voice, the Munchkin guy. Oh, yeah, Wheelie shows up for that point, and then just kind of like vanishes, which I thought was really strange. Him humping Michaela's leg, I thought was actually quite funny. What the point of him humping the leg was, apart from the fact it was funny, is neither here nor there. So what happened to him? The protoform Decepticons that come down for the battle in the desert, which that set looked remarkably like the desert where they were in Qatar, but there we go. The protoform Decepticons, the faceless Decepticon drones, because a lot of the Decepticons that were in there didn't really get a mention or a name. I mean, Sideways isn't named. None of the Decepticons, none of the Constructicons are named, I don't think. Apart from Rampage. Sorry, apart from Rampage. Rampage is named. But there we go. They showed up and just did a lot of generic fighting. Well, if you're going to have generic human soldiers, why not generic Transformers? who just show up, who just play the guy in the red shirt role. I don't really mind that one too. I think I've actually mentioned everything that I was going to mention. I'm sure there is stuff that I haven't mentioned that I will want to mention, and realise when this video is uploaded that I haven't mentioned it when I was supposed to mention it. But there we go. I loved the film. I really did. It completely topped the first one. It was great. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. There were a couple of times I thought it dragged a bit, you know, which is usually with the human involvement, but then I was like, oh well, never mind, carry on. You know, it was brilliant. The fight scenes were unbelievable special effects. I mean, I know Vangelis really did whet our appetite on Skype the one night by telling some of the stuff that he'd seen. I think it was at BotCon. It really, really did. The film blew me away completely. When I came out the cinema, I just wanted to turn around and go straight back in. I didn't want to wait for Philly. I just wanted to go back and see it again, because it really was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Prime, completely ass-kicking everything. It was great. The humour that is in it, and there is a lot of humour in it, was really quite, you know, it was such a funny, some of the moments in it I thought was so funny, but I've got quite a twisted sense of humour anyway. I'm really wondering how long I've talked about this film for. Anyway, it really was really enjoyable humour. When the second showing in the cinema, actually, they actually cut it off halfway through. They actually cut the film off halfway through. The screen went black, and there was nearly a riot. I mean, the cinema was full. There was nearly a riot. There was people shouting. They got up on the seats to bang on the projection window. Oh, I'm just sat there thinking, I'm so glad I've already seen this. Yeah, I got a Pope from Philly for that one. Anyway, yes, and at the end of the film, the audience actually gave a round of applause. They clapped. I've never been in a film where the people have clapped, I don't think. So that was really something. It is a fantastic film. I loved it. Can't wait for it to come out on DVD, because I will be buying it on DVD. I mean, I'm sure I'll get a copy of it before then. But it is an absolutely brilliant film. I loved it. I will highly, highly recommend it. Michael Bay. I mean, there is always going to be the naysayers about the Transformers film. You know, Prime still got flames. Good God, if that argument comes up one more fucking time. That Prime's flames, like, fucking get over it. It's been 2 years. You know, there are going to be then naysayers about it who don't like it because it's not G1, but it still doesn't stop it being a good film. And it is a very good film. It is so much fun. I loved it. And so far, 95% of the people that I've spoken to really did like it. You know, they thought it was absolutely awesome. I know Dave liked it. I know Powermaster Prime liked it. Some of the guys on the Moonbase 2 forums. I know some of the guys that have seen it on TFNet, they liked it. Just a really, really, really good film. It was just fantastic. But anyway, I've said enough, and I'm not going to keep going whinging about this being fantastic and that being fantastic anymore. I'm going to sign off, and then I'm going to upload this. So yes, go see Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. It is fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. But for now, Silverbolt signing off, saying au revoir, adios, auf Wiedersehen.